Let us do the thing.
I'm kind of introvert, so it turns out
Let us do the
hi, hello,
thing.
greetings. How are you? I'm so grateful to have you here on this journey, but specifically for this video. I really appreciate you taking the time to even click on, let alone listen to what I'm about to say. So I hope that you're having an amazing life, and I hope that that continues to be true for you. This video today is answering a question that we get all the time for the human rights effort, and that is, how can we help? What can we do, right? What does making the dreams for three a realization look like? And I love that question because I think in a world where there's talk pieces about every single thing, right? Everybody has a hot take, but they don't have the fiery action, right, to back them up. When you're asking questions about how you can put action or effort into something in particular, that means that there's really something there. So it makes me grateful even to get the question asked. But I do want to answer it. I want this how can we help question to be available at any time by the click of a button for anyone to be able to understand, right? And so I feel like the way I want to start, answering this question is first to put us into perspective. And so let's do this, right? The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, right? The ripples of the weapons of mass destruction narrative are still felt today. And also, finally, of course, as we all know, Rome wasn't built in a day. What do all of these concepts have in common, right? I think what they have in common is, one, good propaganda is a quiet and long game. Second, the leaders currently in power think beyond their graves, they think beyond their children's graves, and they think beyond their children's graves. Building an empire takes time, right? Reconfiguring cultural norms doesn't happen overnight. With all that being said, I think the best thing that we can do now is study, prepare, and pass the test of time. Every living generation of people have had the opportunity to shape and nurture humanity in whatever way they saw fit. Whether those efforts have been successful requires you first to define success, and it also requires you to rely on pages of history books that were written by authors you may never, will never, have never known, right? When we think about action with three, we have always categorized action in two ways. First, be the change, and second, spread the message. So the first one, being the change, is rooted very plainly in our slogan. Let us do the things to change the world, and let us start by doing them today. We have always maintained that it's not our duty as individuals to tell other people what the right thing to do is or what the wrong thing to do is. Lest we be like our predecessors, right? And vilify some and reward others for simply the things they believe in, the way they show up in the world, and in their attempts to live contentful lives, right? In that same vein, the most important work is to show up every day as you want the world to show up for you. What it means is to be a showing of what we believe it means to do good in this world, and to allow for people to make the decision on whether they support or not support us in the comfort and the privacy of their lives, their homes, and their families. How do we know it's working? It's when we begin to see the individual work affect the relationships that we're in. And we begin to see those relationships trickle into the family. And when we begin to see the transformation of the family and the communities and so on and so forth until we see it reflected in the world, right? Good propaganda is a quiet but long game. I guess the next question is, how do you know, right? How do you know if you're being the change? And this series of questions can help you in knowing whether you are actively being the change. In seeking a peaceful world, am I leading a peaceful life? And the hopes for a sustainable food system or a sustainable economy, am I utilizing sustainable practices in the food that I fuel my body with and in the way that I utilize my economic resources? When you think of things like access to healthcare for all or access to education for all, are you considering the input you allow into your mind on a day-to-day basis? Are you considering the fuel that you're using to give your body life? And all of these are doing them to your best ability with what you have. It's not asking you to go out and buy a tree, right? And plant it in a backyard, buy a home so that you have a backyard to plant a garden in. It's about looking at your current circumstances and reflecting the world you wish you could see within those circumstances. I think it's important to note that because we all are created by our circumstances, right? Whether environmental, biological, relational, in whichever way, we're created by our circumstances. But also, we are constantly met with new circumstances, and we're created again and again all of the time. The duty of any member of Thre is to live life in their most full version, right? Using their best effort and with integrity for themselves. The magic of these pursuits is they inevitably benefit all selves. In a world where every person is a gear in the machine, we all inevitably work better when any given gear is working its best. This work is tedious, but it's also work that inevitably benefits us in our everyday life, even if we cannot see the benefit that we hope to bring into the world, right? It requires us to think beyond our own graves, beyond our children's graves, and beyond our children's children's graves, and to get excited about the possibility of crafting a better world consciously. Part 2 is easy, and it's married to part 1 of how you can help Thre. All that is spread the message, right? If our goal is to touch the world, and our belief is that to touch the world, you begin with the individual, and then you flow into, or you allow that energy of best effort to flow into relationships, and thereafter flow into family, and thereafter flow into community, and thereafter to flow into bigger community after bigger community after bigger community, and eventually have that energy of best effort flow into the world, you're changing the world amidst living your best life. And it doesn't get much better than that, but to allow it to flow from person to person, from household to household, you have to spread the message. And all that we ask is if you believe in these concepts, right? One of our major concepts being ecological harmony. Ecological harmony is 2 words married together, and they mean what they mean. Ecology is people, things, and everything in between. So it is the entirety of the workings of our planet, and you can go on so forth, right? But let's just stick with the planet. And harmony is balance. So it's finding balance amongst all these different things. And the way that we want to bring ecological harmony into this world is through the concept of social evolution. And social evolution, as we know, is the constant and consistent review and revamp of social structures in order to ensure that they're operating to enable humanity's highest potential. We believe that it is the duty of every living generation of people to take stock of their ecology and to work to strike a balance therefrom, using healthy debate, compassion, and efficacy, and from the premise that every person wants to live a happy life in a secure home with the ability to raise their own family and have access to opportunities. If you believe in these messages, if you believe in these concepts and these ideas, our second ask is to spread the message. Whether it's piquing the interest of a professor, telling a friend, starting the conversation at a dinner table, making a sticker, right? Toting up our logo, anything, everything, right? And getting back to the question at hand is, how can we help? I know that question comes from such a genuine place and with a real intent to do something now. But I would love for you to visit our website and look through our glossary, because our glossary is built upon our pillars. And one of our pillars or values is proactivity. And proactivity is the opposite of reactivity, in the sense that we want to be the intentional cause of the world that we're trying to affect or bring about. And so we don't want to be an effect of a bad cause. We want to be the cause of a good effect. And so that requires us to start anew. And it also requires us not to drown out the noise, but to be able to differentiate between what it means to make impactful, lasting change and what it means to want impactful, lasting change. And it's also not lost on me that as we grow, we will require structure, but as we grow, the structure will also build itself out. But what's happening in the world doesn't, for me, seem like pressure to make quick and sly movement. It more so seems like a warning of, or a showing of, the consequences of doing nothing. I do believe, with what we talked about today, being the change, sharing the message, we are not doing nothing. We are very actively doing something. And as more and more of us lead authentic lives from our best version with the intent to be respectful and accepting of others, that is how we see the world become a better place. Not overnight, but with intention and over the time necessary. So I definitely appreciate you so much for sitting and learning more about Thre, more about how you can help, more about my intentions, right, in this world, and my intentions with trying to help people become partners with their mind, help people learn how to navigate all those different external noises, and really fortify their internal voice. Because in fortifying that voice is how you begin to show up as your best self, because you can be confident in what you're putting out into the world. So it's very exciting. It's very lovely. I'm so grateful to be here. I feel so contentful. Yes. I really appreciate you listening. I hope that you follow, like, share, subscribe. Do all the things. Just press all the buttons, except the thumbs down. Don't press that button. That would be like the wrong thing to do here, even though we don't tell people what's right or wrong. But yeah, as always, I appreciate you listening. Be sure to follow us on all the platforms. We're most active on Instagram and TikTok right now, but if there's a particular platform that you're interested, specifically speaking about the human rights effort, please let me know. As you know, you can also subscribe to my Patreon so that you can support my work and I can continue to do
It's up to them.
more and more.
It's up to us. It's up to us.
and
It's up to us. It's up to
leave
us.
this
It's up to
pause.
us.
Where we're going
It's
with
up to us. It's up to us. Let us.
it needs